USC's path to a statement victory might rely on one offensive lineman. UCLA doesn't need to shock the world today, but a second win would be nice. And the Rams get a big piece of their offensive line back. Good morning. I'm James. And this is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos morning report. And man, is it morning. I'm on my way to the airport after I drop this clip off. It is October 11th, 2025. If you like being in the know about LA sports, even in the most ridiculous times of the morning, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop an update. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. By all means, comment. Now, before we go through the news notes, we always have an expanded look at the scoreboard during football season. There were no games involving LA teams Friday, but today, Michigan, 15th ranked Michigan, is at USC at 4:30. Now, if you've watched this show before, when we talk football, we look for the team that has the most reasonable paths to victory. And we also talk a lot about linemen. If you don't have an offensive line, your quarterback's in real trouble. If you have a defensive line, their quarterback is in real trouble. So, because of that, I have come to believe that USC's best chance of winning today comes down to offensive tackle Elijah Page. Lincoln Riley has said that he won't let us know if Page is going to play until just before kickoff. Why does one offensive lineman matter? Well, because the Trojans have been trying to play more physical football because they're in the Big Ten. They have, in fact, added more physical players. That is true, but they have not added enough physical players on the offensive line. The first string, competent, not deep. So, for example, if you recall in the Illinois game that they lost starting center Killian O'Connor. Not too big of a drop-off. Transfer Jean-Ray Reed was a starter at Syracuse before he came to LA. But if Page can't go, you now have multiple backups in the starting lineup, playing against the 7th best run defense in the country. Now, to me, that spells trouble for Waymon Jordan. And what does that also do? Reduces the number of viable pathways for USC to get a victory in a game that they absolutely have to have. It puts everything on Jaden Mayava's shoulders, which isn't that bad, but you'd want the diversification on offense to keep Wolverines defensive coordinator Wink Martindale guessing. Martindale versus Riley is a hell of a coaching duel. Remember, Martindale mentored Jesse Minter, who is now the Chargers defensive coordinator. And of course, not only is he defensive coordinator for the Chargers, he's also now a viable NFL head coaching candidate. So they know how to D up over in Michigan. You need diversification on offense. You would want Riley to have as many options as possible in his playbook. Now, Michigan only has one path to victory, but it's a damn wide lane. They run the football. They may have a decent quarterback in Bryce Underwood, but the Wolverines are absolutely defined by the running game. Remember, last year they trampled USC to the tune of 290 rushing yards. Now, I think the Trojans defense, with that bye week to straighten themselves out, they're going to look to redeem themselves after getting embarrassed in Illinois. Hell, I think the entire program is in desperation mode after Illinois. Michigan knows that even if they lose today, they still have a path to get into the college football playoffs. USC does not have that luxury. So again, you can see why you would want to choose USC. Michigan has to fly across the country, which is a much bigger deal in this conference than people care to admit. And also, like I said, USC is the more desperate team. And I want to take the Trojans. I do. But I'd have to see if Page is in the lineup first. Meanwhile, UCLA is at Michigan State at 9 a.m. You know, from where I was sitting, it was as if the entire nation seemed to rally around UCLA for one afternoon. Maybe it was because of the Neuheisel story. And it was a heartwarming story. It really was, even for a cold-blooded bastard like me. Maybe everybody was like, you know what, we've been poking fun at the Bruins all year, but this would be a damn good story if they beat Penn State. But it's a week later, and I can't totally buy into this major UCLA resurgence yet. Here's why. It's still a deeply flawed roster. So is Michigan State, right? Now, I'll be damned if I try to claim that the Spartans can hold a candle to the Nittany Lions in terms of talent level. But even though UCLA humiliated Penn State last weekend, it wasn't an ass-kicking. It was an escape. The Bruins, for example, ran for 280 yards. Does anybody believe that's sustainable for the rest of the year? Michigan State, by the way, is 33rd in the nation in run defense. That's not awesome, but it's competent. Meanwhile, UCLA allowed 37 points at home in a win. They don't have a pass rush yet either. They only got to Drew Allar for 1 sack. The thing that I'm looking at, the Spartans are desperate to protect their quarterback, Aiden Childs. He's been sacked 14 times this year. Now, if the Bruins can finally get a pass rush, now you're talking. Now they have a shot. But this is still on the road at 9 in the morning. I just don't see a winning streak. If I'm wrong, you got me, and I'll start to buy in a little bit more. The Kings are at Winnipeg at 10:30 in the morning, and it is Galaxy game day. They are hosting FC Dallas at 7:30. So with all that out of the way, let's get back to the news. Left guard Steve Avila is back for the Rams this week. He was active the last 2 weeks, but they decided not to put him out there until his ankle sprain was completely recovered. Right tackle Rob Havenstein is doubtful to play in Baltimore. That means Warren McClendon should get the start. But if you've been following local news, you know now Baltimore traded arguably their best pass rusher to the Chargers this week. So you don't want to take weeks off in the NFL. But man, Baltimore's missing a lot. They're not even going to have Lamar Jackson out there. And I mentioned a few minutes ago the importance of line play. You always talk about it in terms of pass rush, in terms of offensive lines. Very rarely, though, do we consider the impact on special teams. Now, 4 of Joshua Carty's kicks have been blocked this year. It's really a big, ugly spate of block kicks in the NFL. More kicks have been blocked through 4 weeks of this year than through the first 4 weeks of any season since 1991. The George H.W. Bush presidency. Now, opposing teams have adjusted because you cannot bum rush the long snapper directly anymore. It's illegal. Instead, what teams have been doing is they push their strongest guys typically around the edges of the long snapper. Kind of like making it a 2-on-1. So that if they push their 2 strongest guys at one part of the line, the guy on the second wave, right behind the defensive front, he gets a lane to get his hands up. The Eagles, by the way, did that to block a kick against the Rams. 2 dudes who combined to weigh 650 pounds formed that wall to beat Havenstein and Bo Limmer. So I'm not saying I know that's what happened, but it might be the rationale. At this point, it's safe to say the Chargers have little choice in terms of their offensive line, other than to wait and hope, maybe even light a candle, for them to regain something resembling health. They have lost both tackles. Their free agent acquisition at guard has missed multiple games. Jim Harbaugh will not even concede who the starting offensive line will be Sunday when the Bolts play at Miami. So the LA Daily News took a stab at it. And if you're a Chargers fan, I'm sorry. Austin Deculus, the third stringer, is going to start at left tackle most likely. A practice squad guy, Bobby Hart, might be the guy taking over at right tackle. Moreover, another reserve offensive lineman, Jamari Salyer, has a knee injury. And all Harbaugh would say is Salyer, quote, had a setback, unquote, in practice. So, I don't know how the hell they're going to block for any running backs. It's not like they even can block for Omari and Hampton. He's out too. Justin Herbert, dude, make sure you got Aflac, my man, because it's going to be some painful times ahead. Miguel Rojas told the Scribes that he intends to retire from baseball after next season. About 96% of people who watch baseball regularly replied, "Who the hell is Miguel Rojas?" But he did say, hey, he would love to stay a Dodger next season, even if it's as a backup middle infielder, which is what he's been. And I think the Dodgers would be happy to keep him because he comes on the cheap. Rojas debuted in LA back in 2014. He was traded to Miami a year later. Spent 8 years with the Marlins, most of it as their starting shortstop. He's been a backup here. The LA Daily News has reported that former Dodger Albert Pujols has interviewed for the vacant Angels managerial job. Also, Angel City FC has acquired forward Priska Chilufya from Orlando City. Is it a deal? Is it a good deal? Damned if I know. She only scored twice for Orlando. Angel City then picked her up for the grand total of $50,000. Ooh. You know, you could get a good Ford Mustang for 50 grand, I found out. And I would want to be keeping you guys in the loop on that because the Ford Mustang is the official midlife crisis mobile to try to score with junior college dropouts. How would I know? Oh, I don't know. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Talk to me about college football today. Confident about USC? Or maybe you think UCLA is on the verge of a big turnaround. And if you enjoyed this update, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow, hopefully in daylight and without helicopters. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Cortel Queso production. Take care.